And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the Belgian Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Stavelot. I am once again JW97, and I'm once again joined by my arch nemesis Ra.
Hello again.
We are here for qualifying, and as Dennis rightly predicted in the stream chat, we have got a completely bone-dry session for this one. No rain expected for Q1, Q2, and Q3. So, as a result, no rain expected for all three sessions. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Obviously, complete contrast to what we saw in practice. And I have to ask you, Ra, who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
I'm gonna go for both AlphaTauris, both a Williams, a Haas, an Aston Martin, and a Alfa Romeo.
Okay, I'm going to go with both AlphaTauris, both Aston Martins, Haas and a Williams. That's what I'm going to go with. So they are my predictions. So anyway, leave your predictions, guys, as well in the stream chat. And we didn't mention this in practice because it was obviously a wet session. But the tyres we're using here at the Belgian Grand Prix is the hard tyre. And as you notice, it should be the correct band this time. Because if you may remember, at the Hungarian Grand Prix last week, there was a bit of a graphic error. Because we were meant to be using medium tyres. And whilst they were medium tyres, they had the wrong graphic colour. They were presented as hard tyres instead of the yellow medium tyres. But they still had the same wear as the medium tyres. But hopefully we shouldn't have that issue this time by, so long as Yuri doesn't make that same mistake that he did last time in Hungary. But anyway, Jamie Griffiths is the first driver out on track in the Williams, as I'm now going to read in the stream chat your predictions. So, Dennis has said both Aston Martins, both AlphaTauris, and both Williamses. Von Chanek has said both AlphaTauris, both Williamses, and Aston Martin and a Haas. And Chris has said both AlphaTauris, both Aston Martins, a Williams, and a Haas. So he's predicted the same as what I have there. So, anyway, Chris is out on track. He'll be the one setting the benchmark of time for everybody to beat. Every other car will be making their way onto the racetrack. Luckily, because of how long this track is, we shouldn't have any traffic issues for Jamie Griffiths. And so that's that. The said can't be said, though, for the other 22 drivers, because they could still emerge behind drivers once they come out of the pits. But it will be interesting. We've now got 19 cars out on the circuit now, then, so 3 more cars yet to come out of the pit lane. As Griffiths now then makes his way towards turns 14 and 15. And of course, obviously in practice, it was a wet session, but this will be the first time that we're going to see some dry running for the top class around here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. As Griffiths now then makes his way towards Blanchimont now then. That's how he goes, as now all 22 cars are now out on the racetrack. So no excuses for anybody not to be out on track. As Griffiths now then makes his way towards the final chicane now then on the racetrack as he flicks the car in for the right, then into the left-hander he goes. Griffiths now then will make his way down the pit straight now then, as Griffiths is going to start his first flying lap of Q1 now then, as he makes his way down towards La Source now then. Into the first corner he goes, using a bit of curb on the inside before making his way down the hill before approaching the support pit straight, or the 24-hour pit straight, as now heading his way up towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. Of course, in real life, this bit has been widened, but because we haven't got a widened version of that at the moment, this is the current up-to-date version that we have. Of course, there are more up-to-date versions than this with the sponsor boards, but in terms of layout, this is what the up-to-date one is. 29.278 in the first sector. Is it the 29.125 in the first sector for Franco Lopez? Both of them, of course, having Mercedes engines. 29.128 for Perinen, so 3 thousandths off in that first sector. Of course, as we saw yesterday during the World Champ Car one-shot qualifying system, you can't really judge too much on the first sector. It's mainly sector 2 and 3 where you should really make your judgments, really. Sector 1, not really that important. As now coming out the second part of P1 now then, before Griffiths makes his way towards turns 12 and 13 now then. Through the right, Then through into the left-hander he goes now then, using a bit of curve on the outside before making his way towards turn 14, before making his way towards Stavlo, as he does a 113.356 in the middle sector. A 1 minute 12.260 for Franco Lopez, 1 minute 12.045 in the second sector for Perinen. So Perinen actually up on Lopez in that second sector, as Griffiths now then making his way through the second part of Blanchimont now then, before making his way towards the final chicane now then, the bus stop chicane. Obviously it's not really a bus stop anymore, but people still refer to it as the bus stop chicane, but the official name is just chicane. Very creative, I know. But anyway, it's now then coming down the pit straight in the Williams, and what is the benchmark time going to be? Across the line goes the Welshman, and it's a 144.28. Ober gets smashed by Lopez, who goes 1.3 seconds quicker. Motrin, in fact, goes quickest by 74 thousandths of a second, before Perinin goes to the top by 1/10 of a second. So not the best of first laps there for Franco Lopez. Here comes Armar Carr in the second Mercedes. Of course, Carr and Lopez will be staying at Mercedes next season, but Carr only fourth that time by. It seems that Motrin has got the edge on the two Mercedes at the moment. Gal across the line goes into fifth position. Kupok across the line, he goes into fifth. Jake Galloway across the line, he goes fifth. Third for Chris Chatfield, getting a bit of slipstream from his teammate there, so a bit of teamwork going on there from the Scarlet Red team. Emilio Wilson goes into eighth place now for Roman Quayle. Looked like he got held up a bit by Emilio Wilson on that lap. Anderson across the line goes into 12th, made that 13th now because Garma goes 6th. I wonder if he got held up there by Anderson, as Willows goes quickest by 35 thousandths of a second. So Willows to the top of the timing sheets. As Daniel Fraser crosses the line and he goes into 15th. Verderi crosses the line, 9th for him. Byrne goes 6th, as now we come down the straight for Laura Chung. Laura Chung crosses the line in the Lamborghini and she goes into 12th. Patel only 9th that time by, so not the best of first laps there for the Lamborghini team. Here comes Felix Sontag in the second of the two Williamses. His teammate is currently in the drop zone in 17th. Sontag across the line and he goes into 20th, made that 21st because De Rosa, who got held up, goes into 9th, and Roque goes into 9th himself, so not the best of first laps for Red Bull. But at the moment, Willow's currently top ahead of Perinin, but I think the biggest surprise was Roland Motrin up in third.
Yeah, great lap from Roland Motrin to put his Aston Martin up to third, and I feel like he should be safe, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, indeed. But so far then in the drop zone, we have Wilson, Gal, Griffiths, Anderson, Fraser, and Sontag at this stage of qualifying. And so not the best of qualifying first laps for the Lamborghini team, and nor for Red Bull either. Only 8th and 9th for Garma and Roque at this stage.
Yeah, not the best laps for Franco Gamba and George Roque. Of course, there's a lot of time for them to go, and they can improve, but we'll wait and see if they can improve.
Griffiths now then coming into pit lane in the Williams, as Griffiths now then makes his way into pit lane, as he will be getting ready to go out on track for a second time. Of course, one driver, usually gets left behind on the second runs, and given how long the track is, I would not be surprised if we only get 2 flying laps for most of the drivers in the field. Of course, this is the longest track on the calendar at 7.004 kilometers. So really, that's obviously something to keep in mind there. But at the moment, Willow's at the top of the timing sheets with Perinin in second, Motrin third, Chatfield fourth, Lopez fifth, Byrne in sixth with Carr seventh, Garma 8th, Roque in 9th, followed by De Rosa in 10th, Patel in 11th, Galloway in 12th, Verderi 13th, Kupok 14th, then it is Chung 15th, Quag in 16th with Wilson in the drop zone in 17th, Gal 18th, Griffiths 19th, Anderson 20th, Fraser 21st, and Sontag in 22nd position. So we have 2 Hasses, 2 Williamses, Alpha Tauri and an Aston Martin currently in the drop zone, as Wilson gets wheeled back into the garage, and same will apply to Daniel Fraser as well, and same for the 2 Lamborghinis who have just arrived on the scene. And so we wait to see who's going to be next to go out onto the racetrack and be the second car out on track, as the Lamborghinis were just waiting there for Fraser to get wheeled back into the garage, as we look at Laura Chung in the Lamborghini. And seeing if anybody will be coming down the pit lane to start their second flying lap very soon, as the Lamborghini mechanics will chung back in the garage, because the Lamborghinis desperately will need to improve on their second flying lap, because only 11th and 15th so far for the Italian team. Of course, if you didn't see the news, Laura Chung is, of course, remaining at Lamborghini for next season. We've got an Aston Martin that's just gone out onto the racetrack. I just saw it zoom past there, but for some reason, we're not looking at the Aston Martin. We're still looking at Laura Chung. Here we are. It is Roland Motrin, who's currently in third position, and he's now out on the racetrack. And so Motrin currently in third, as we have just over 10 minutes to go in this session. Obviously a very good first lap there for Roland Motrin. Of course, looking to see if he can still remain at Aston Martin next season, considering that we talked about it in the pilot episode. His future at Aston Martin isn't so secure either, because of all the competition that's surrounding those two seats, especially given that it's looking highly likely that Julius Anderson is going to be leaving the team at the end of the season due to the pick order.
Yeah, of course, it's not been the best this season for Roland Martin. Of course, it's not the season that he was hoping for, but of course, it is what it is. But he's got to try and do his best. At the moment, he is in danger, but if he can pick up some good results, he will have a chance to stay at Aston Martin.
We'll see, of course, as Motrin now then makes his way towards turn 15 of Stavlo before he makes his way towards the last chicane now then on the track. Motrin now then coming around Blanchemont, as he'll be starting his lap quite soon. There's still a few cars, as you can see, in the pit lane. As you can see, of course, one driver usually gets left behind on the second run. Sontag is going to be hoping it's not him, as Motrin now then makes his way towards the last chicane through the right, and then through into the left-hand there goes the Hungarian driver, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, as Motrin is going to start his second flying lap on track, as he now makes his way down towards the first corner now then. Through turn one goes Roland Motrin in the Aston Martin. Anybody coming out the pit lane? Well, there is, but luckily Motrin clears it as both Lamborghinis go out on track. So it's only Quarg and Sontag left in the garages. Who's going to get left behind on this occasion? Is it going to be Quarg or Sontag? That will be the question. Meanwhile, Motrin down the Kemmel Straight he goes in the Aston Martin. Let's see what his first sector is going to look like towards the end of the first sector, and he is only 11 thousandths down in the first sector to Willows. Of course, the first sector you can't really judge too much because it is only a straight, and he's actually 15 thousandths up on his personal best in the first sector. Quarg and Sontag are still in the garages at the moment. One driver still has not got out yet, and you can see on the mini-map they're still in the garage as we speak, as now Motrin makes his way out of the Jackie X corner. Now they're making his way down towards Pouon. So coming around the first part now then, so through the first part of Pouon, then through the second part, using a bit of curb on the outside before making his way towards turns 12 and 13. Around the right-hander he goes now then, and through the left he goes of turn 13, as he now makes his way towards turn 14 now then on the track, as he now makes his way towards Stavolo, and he's now 3 tenths down on his personal best in the middle sector, so he's lost a bit of time now then in that middle sector. The guy in the pit lane is still not moved yet, which is a bit of a surprise. That being Roman Quarg, and I think he might be stuck, in fact. I think he might be a bit stuck, as it seems, at the moment, so that's not good. Seems like he's got a bit stuck, it seems, in the garage, a little bit like what we saw with Franco Lopez, a little bit. Did he have a bit of an accident going into the pit lane, I wonder? Yes, he did. Look at the wheel. Look at the wheel. So I guess it's kind of already done Yuri's job for it. So Quarg's session is over. It seems like he's had a crash in the pit lane, it seems. So let's have a look then. He's lost a wheel on the rear end, look. So do you remember what happened with Lopez last season? The same thing. And yeah, it did happen in the pit lane. Look, let's have a look who caused it. So Quarg goes into pit lane. Let's see. He now is coming up. He's actually slowing a bit. So who was the one that caused the accident? Let's have a look, and it looks like it's Chatfield. It is Chatfield's Ferrari that caused it, in fact. So Quarg's session has come to an end thanks to a crash in the pit lane. Very bizarre.
Yeah, it's the weirdest crash we've seen, and very bizarre. Don't know what was Quark thinking there.
Yep, but that is his session done with, because of course the spare car ban is in effect, but it looks like it's kind of already doing Yuri's job for him. So, but anyway, back to Motrin now then. He just comes out of the last chicane now then, as he now makes his way towards the pit straight now then, as Roland Motrin is about to cross the line in the Aston Martin, and he does not improve his days in first. Right, fair enough. But either way, Quag is out of it now then, as Griffiths got up to 14th, but it's now 15th because Wilson is down to 9th. So Quag, thanks to that crash in the pit lane, has been eliminated in the first part of qualifying. He's going to be frustrated with that one, and particularly not happy with Chris Chatfield on that one. But anyway, Armar Khan now then comes down the pit straight, and Carr crosses the line and does not improve. Verderi crosses the line, and no improvement there for Verderi. As we now look at Jake Galloway now then in the Ferrari, who's currently holding up George Roke, it seems. Galloway crossed the line, no improvement, and nor for Roke either. Willows, no improvement. He stays on a 142.567. Chatfield stays where he is. Fraser's on improvement, and he goes up into 11th. That pushes Qpok now into the drop zone. Here comes Miklos Gau in the Alpha Tauri. Across the line he will go, and no improvement, stays where he is. Qpok crosses the line, he stays where he is. Gamba, no improvement. In fact, he stays where is Gamba? In 8th position. Anderson goes up to 15. That pushes Griffiths back down into the drop zone and pushes Quag, who's obviously crashed out, back down into 20th. As meanwhile, we're looking at Loa Chung, who's also currently in the drop zone as we speak. Patel currently 13th at the moment, so Lamborghini desperately need to improve on this second flying lap. The last chicane goes Laura Chung in the Lamborghini, as she will now make her way down the pit straight and across the line she will go now then, and she goes into 13th, gets out of the drop zone. Patel goes up into 8th, so Verderi is now in the drop zone as a result. So that's that really after Chung's improvement. But that's the second flying laps done with, but it is still Willows at the top of the time receipt. But thanks to his crash in the pit lane, Roman Quag is out in Q1.
Yeah, disappointing for Krug, and he's got a lot of work to do now going into tomorrow's race.
Yep, indeed. And so that's that, really. I should point out as well, I don't know if anybody heard Yuri there, because he didn't make it clear. Basically, if Right. What Yuri said there was that if Quark's car became unstuck, basically, not unstuck, but if he was able to get through into the top 16, the spare car ban would not have covered that. So, but of course, he's been eliminated unless somehow the Alfa Romeo gets dislodged. But as we saw, of course, a couple of seasons ago with Franco Lopez at the Austrian Grand Prix, I think that's unlikely to happen. So I think it's safe to say Quag is out of qualifying. He's not going to be particularly happy with how these sessions come to an end, but it is what it is. Quag is out. He's down in 20th position. But if he were to still be in the top 16 for the remainder of the session, then the spare car ban would have not covered that because, of course, it is a little bit of a glitch. So anyway, as Patel now then comes around turn 15 there, and he'll be coming back into the pits. Chung, although was able to improve there that time, Ross, still in 14th position. But clearly struggling at the moment, it's fair to say.
Yeah, indeed, but then again, she could pick it up, go and get to Q2, and she could even make it to Q3, but we will have to wait and see.
Indeed, and so we've now just got over 3 3/4 minutes to go in this session, and is anybody going to get out there and do one more flying lap? Apart from Quag, of course, the other 5 drivers will be hoping they will be able to. Wilson currently in 10th. She had a very good second flying lap there in the Haas as the Lamborghinis head back into the garage now then. So that's that really, as we wait for the mechanics to wheel Chung back into the garage. And we wait to see if anybody's going to get out there and do one more flying lap before Q1 comes to a close. As we wait to see what will happen, as Patel and is currently in the garage. Well, he's back in the garage. Perinin is actually coming back out onto the track, so he'll be doing one more flying lap before the session, before Q1 comes to an end. Is anybody else going to join him? Let's see, as he makes his way down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Motrin has also joined him, so there's 2 cars on track, as has Griffiths in the Williams, so he's given himself one more chance to get through into Q2. And as you just saw, there's a few more other cars moving about in the pit lane. As now Perinin makes his way towards the Lecom now then. Through the right and left hander he goes. So Verderi is also out on track. So Verderi and Griffiths are giving themselves one more chance to get through into Q2, as has Felix Sontag, who of course skipped the previous run, but he's now come out on track to do a second and final flying lap of Q1, just to see if he can get his Williams through into Q2. as Perina makes his way out of the Jackie X corner now then, making his way towards Puon. And now towards Puon he goes now then, as he uses a bit of curb on the outside before making his way towards turns 12 and 13 on the racetrack. To the right and then into the left-hander now then will go the Spaniard. Perina now then approaching the right-hander now then of turn 14 before making his way towards Bruxelles. Stavlo, not Bruxelles. Bruxelles is turn 8. So we've got just under 2 minutes to go in this session. They need to get out before the 1 minute 42 mark. Otherwise, they will not be able to do a second flying lap now then. So Perina approaching the second part of Blanchimont now then before making his way towards the last chicane. So let's see what Perina is able to do as we've now passed that point. So Kupok is officially out. He's still in the garage, so Kupok is out of qualifying. He stays in 19th. Of course, Quarg obviously out because of his damage. So we've got Kupok and Quarg confirmed as 2 drivers who are not going to be advancing into Q2. But Verderi, Griffiths, Gale and Sontag have given themselves one more chance to try and get themselves through into the second part of qualifying. Perina starts his final flying lap of Q1 now then, as he now makes his way down the hill before approaching Eau Rouge and Radion. And now coming up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. De Rosa currently in 13th, I should point out as well. And given there's 4 cars in the drop zone who could still improve, he needs to hope he's done enough to get himself through into Q2 because he's only in 13th and he's the only one who's going to be in the pit lane, of course, because of Quarg being in the garage, stuck in the garage, it doesn't spawn another car. So De Rosa has been left behind, so he's got to pray he's done enough to get himself through into the second part of qualifying. Here comes Jesus Perina now then, heading his way down towards Bruxelles now then in the Renault, going around the long, swooping right-hander. As now making his way towards turn 9. And now heading down the hill towards Puon now, then we go. As he makes his way around the long, swooping left-hander. As now makes his way towards turns 12 and 13 on the racetrack. Of course, Perina, let's not forget, is in contention for both Renault and Red Bull, as Julius thinks it's him that's caused the domino effect. No, you're just part of the equation. You're not. It's other factors that potentially could lead to the domino effect. But as Perina actually found a bit of time in the middle sector, it should be pointed out. He was actually 1/10 down on Willows, but actually he's actually now 1/10 down on his personal best, but now finds himself 600 down on his personal best. So he has found time in that middle sector, but we'll wait and see if he's able to improve on it a bit more in this last sector. Let's see. Perina through the last chicane he goes, through the right and then through the left-hander he will go as he makes his way onto the pit straight now. Then Perina is now going to cross the line as the checkered flag is now out across the line. And he does not improve. He stays in second place. Motrin, across the line, he will go in the Aston Martin. And he stays in a very impressive third at this point in time. He's obviously sleepily through into Q2. Griffiths, no improvement, so he is out. He remains in 18th as Carr, meanwhile, is on an improvement, currently in 7th position. In fact, he's 48 thousandths off of Willows in that second sector, so he could get himself into the top 3 here. Carr across the line, and he goes into 3rd, slots in front of Motrin there. Here comes Verderi, last chance for him. Can he get his Alfa Romeo through into Q2? And yes, he can. He gets up into 8th, so pushes Anderson down into the drop zone. Wilson across the line, doesn't improve, so she stays in 11th as Sontag improves but stays last, so no improvement for him. Lopez doesn't improve, he stays in 6th, so Sontag is out. Galloway doesn't improve, he's in 16th at the moment, is Galloway, so he's got to pray he's done enough to get through into Q2. Here comes Daniel Fraser, who is Fraser. He's currently in 13th. And he stays in 13th. Here comes George Roke, who's on an improvement. He's currently down in 12th position. And Roke is going to cross a line. Can he go quickest? He can by 0.2 of a second. Roke to the top of the timing sheets with a 1 minute 42.357. Byrne is not on an improvement. He's currently in 8th, so he's safely through into Q2, I think. Byrne, no improvement. He stays in 8th. Chatfield is on improvement, meanwhile. Currently in 6th as Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari comes down the pit straight. And he goes into 2nd. He slots to 2nd. 71 thousandths off of George Roke. Chung, meanwhile, is not on an improvement. She's currently 15th and doesn't improve, stays 15th. Willows is not on an improvement either. Across the line he will go and he stays in 3rd position. Gal is not on an improvement, so at the moment he's not going to advance into the second part of qualifying. So at least Quarg will stay on at least row 10 and not start from the back. Gal does not improve and he stays where he is. Anderson doesn't improve, so he is out. He stays in 17th. Anderson out in Q1 as Garber improves but remains in 9th position. And that is Q1 done with well, some very interesting improvements towards the end of the session. So Roke fastest with Chatfield 2nd and Willows in 3rd. A British 1, 2, 3. And the bottom 6, being the people who got eliminated in Q1, being Julius Anderson, Jamie Griffiths, David Kupart, Roman Quark, thanks to that crash he had in the pit lane, Miklos Gau, and Felix Sontag. So we're just going to take a brief pause for a moment, and we'll be getting set for Q2 quite soon. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet prepared. The other tweet is now up on the on Twitter, and some people pointed out, well, of course, in the stream chat, Jake Galloway, very, very lucky to get himself through into Q2 there, because he nearly got himself eliminated.
Yeah, indeed. You could also say the same for Laura Chung as well, and even Kirosama De Rosa.
Indeed so. As mentioned, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying, and obviously I'll be asking Ra for that in a little bit. But yeah, very interesting towards the end of the session. But I think the biggest, the one driver who we need to mention, Roland Motrin, a very good Q1 for him there. Obviously was in the top three for most of it. In the end, finished in 5th position, but still very, very strong start to qualifying for the Hungarian.
Yeah, indeed. Will he be able to keep it up into Q2? We'll find out. He could have a chance to get into Q3.
We'll see, of course, but so far it's safe to say that Red Bull have got some very good pace here around Spa. Of course, we saw that Daniel Adventure had some very good pace in the wet conditions when he was taking over duties for George Rote during practice. And as George Rote gets back in the car, he tops the Q1, but whether he can keep that up, it did cut out. I don't know what happened there. Everybody's a radio, so give me a moment. So I think nobody should sound like a radio anymore. So as I was saying there before my microphone decided to rudely cut out there, give me a moment. Take 297. So as I was saying there, Red Bull do look particularly strong around here, but Ferrari look quick, and also do McLaren as well, with Willows up in 3rd. I wonder, what do you think they could do in this qualifying session, Rel?
They could probably take pole, but we will see. Of course, we'll see once Q2 finishes if they can make it to Q3. But yeah, they could be a strong contender for pole.
Potentially, but of course we'll have to wait and see how it fares in the second part of qualifying and also the third part of qualifying as well, because you never know, things could change, as we've seen many times during these qualifying sessions. Things could change just like that, going from session to session. So we'll be quite interested to see how that one pans out, really. So as we wait to see, as we wait for Q2 to get underway, as Yuri is still preparing that at this stage. So as now we get the screen up, because I was about to talk about something else there. But we've got the screen back up and we're getting Q2 underway quite soon. So without further ado, let's get into Q2. So I'm going to ask you, Ra, who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
I'm gonna say Mochin, Federi, both Hasses and both Lamborghinis.
Okay, I'm going to say both Hasses, Motrin. I think, although he had a very strong Q1, I think he will be caught out a bit in Q2. I think I'm going to say a bit of a hunch. I'm going to say, as a bit of a risk, both Lamborghinis. So I'm going a bit bold there. I'm also going to say, I think I'm also going to say a Ferrari as well. I know I said they looked pretty strong under the hands of Chris Chapman, but I think one could get eliminated. And in terms of one more, I'll say a McLaren. I think I know I said they were also strong, but you never know. So a McLaren, a Ferrari, both Hasses, Motrin, and in fact, I think I forgot a sixth one, didn't I? If I'm not mistaken. I'll try that again because my brain went into full limbo mode there. Uh, so both Hasses, Vaderi, Motrin, a Lamborghini, and a Ferrari. So I kind of forgot about Vaderi. So Vaderi there I will also go for as well. But anyway, Amelia Wilson is now out on the racetrack. So anyway, let's read your predictions in the stream chat, guys. Dennis has said both Hasses, Vaderi, Galloway, a Lamborghini, and Motrin. Fonchanek has said Motrin, Vaderi, both Hasses, a Lambo, and a Ferrari. So they are their predictions. As you mentioned, Wilson is out on track in the Hash. She's the first one out on the racetrack. As currently we've got 8 cars on the racetrack as they're all trying to fizzle their way out of the garages now then, as Wilson makes her way out of Lecom now then, before making her way down towards Bruxelles and of course the corner with no name, which is now known as the Jackie X corner. So still 2 more cars yet to get out on track now then, and now they're all out on track. So all 16 cars are on track way before Amelia Wilson gets back towards the start finish line, as Wilson makes her way out of the second part of Pouhon now then, as she makes her way towards turns 12 and 13. To the right and into the left hander she will go now then, before she makes her way towards turns 14 and then turn 15, which will be Stavlo. So Wilson now then through into turn 15 she will go, and now she will make her way towards Blanchimont now then, through the first part of Blanchimont and then into the second part of Blanchimont she will now go, and so Wilson now then makes her way towards the final chicane. And let's see what Wilson is able to do. Through the right and then into the left-hander now then will go Wilson, as she will now make her way onto the pit straight now then. And Wilson is about to come across the line now then. And she starts her first flying lap now then. And luckily she will not have any traffic on her way, as Wilson now then makes her way down the support pitch straight now then, which is where you usually see the Spa 24-hour use this complex as well, and I think also the 24-hour race for motorcycles, since they made a return here this season, thanks to the upgrades they made. Of course not currently available at this point on Grand Prix 4. But anyway, as Wilson makes her way down the Kemmel Straight, let's see what her first sector time is going to look like. Of course, sector 1 doesn't mean too much on this because it is only just one braking zone. It's mainly the last 2 that you need to be wary of. A 29.298 for Wilson in the first sector, 29.115 for Lopez, a 29.270 for Motrin in that first sector, 28.977 for Patel, so he's actually gone to the 28s. On that occasion, a few 29s coming up. So Patel currently up on everybody in the first sector at this stage, but we'll have to wait and see if he can keep that up in the middle sector now then. Wilson just coming around Pouhon before she makes her way towards turns 12 and 13 on the racetrack, through the right and then into the left-hander now she will go, as Wilson makes her way towards turn 14 before making her way towards Stavlo. Let's see what a second sector looks like. A 1 minute 12.962 in that middle sector. So not a bad middle sector there for the American driver, as she now makes her way towards Blanchimont. A 1 minute 12.984 for Lopez in the second sector. In fact, Lopez is actually down on Wilson in that first sector. 1 minute 12.416 for Patel. 1 minute 11.899 for Gamba. A 1 minute 13 exactly for Roland Motrin in that middle sector, 1 minute 12.008 for Byrne in that middle sector. But anyway, Wilson comes out of the final turns. In fact, we've got a yellow flag. It's at turn 14, and it's for Dairy, who's crashed it. So both Alfa Romeos have been in the wars today as Wilson sets the timer 1 minute 43.750 as Motrin goes a tenth slower. But that's for Dairy's session done with, and he set no lap time.
Yeah, what a blow for Andre Federi. He makes a big mistake and goes into the wall. Really big mistake. Big from him, and that's not what he wants. He's making too many mistakes.
Yep, indeed, and that's his session done and dusted with, and I think a lot of people are going to get compromised as a result, because I did see a little bit of a swerve coming out the turn, but anyway, as we saw there, of course, for Dairy, his session's done with, and obviously Yuri will pause for the moment just to get the correct number to ensure he doesn't get back out. But once again, Videri in the wars, because his session obviously came to an end quite early on in practice thanks to an oil leak, and now he's crashed in qualifying, and that's his session done with it. He's going to have no time on the board whatsoever. Garber goes to the top by a tenth of a second ahead of Byrne, Chatfield, Patel, Lopez, Wilson, and Motrin. So Lopez able to find some time on Wilson in that third sector. Fraser across the line, he will go in the second Haas. He goes into 8th. Armar Carr across the line in the Mercedes goes into 8th position, 1.6 seconds off of Garber. De Rose across the line goes into 7th. Willows goes into 5th. As here comes Jesus Perrinin in the Renault. Across the line, he will go now then, and he goes into 8th. Of course, let's not forget some of these got held up because of Videri's crash. 6th place for Chung, which became 7th because of Roke. Then it is P6 for Galloway, P8 for Chung, P10 for Wilson, and that's the first runs done with Garber at the top, Byrne in second and Chatfield in third, and currently in the drop zone, Perrinin, De Rosa, Motrin, Carr, and Fraser. But as said, Ra, not ideal for Videri.
Yep, indeed. It's cost a big chance to probably get a good qualifying result here, and yeah, big blow, and yeah, both Alfa Romeos in the wars this in qualifying.
Indeed, as Wilson makes her way towards turn 15, she'll be heading away into the pit. She's currently in the top 10, but given that some people, of course, got a little bit held up thanks to Videri's accident that we saw there, and having to back off a little bit, I would not be surprised if Wilson will have to push a little bit more if she wants to get her Haas through into Q3.
Yeah, indeed, of course. Only 1.3 seconds off the pace. Don't think it's enough to make it into Q3, but we'll see if she can improve.
I'm just sorting out my blinds there. That's why you can hear me from a distance. So anyway, so they're all going to make their way back into the pits. Of course, Videri's not going to get a time because of his crash and of course of the spare car ban. So Alfa Romeo have got a massive repair bill to do tomorrow for both Quarg and Videri's car. So that's that really. As you wait to see who's going to be next out on the racetrack to do their second run of Q2. And will it be Wilson again or will it be somebody else? That will be the question there as she now gets wheeled back into the garage. As Patel is now back in the pits for Lamborghini. As now we wait to see who's going to get on track first of all. Currently Patel in 5th, Chung in 8th, both Lamborghinis currently in the top 10. Carr currently in the drop zone, same with De Rosa and Perrinin, but I would imagine, I think they were roughly around where Videri was at the time when they set that time, so I would not be surprised if they had to back off a little bit just to ensure that they avoided Videri in case he started to spit back onto the racetrack. So I guess their laps got a little bit compromised as a result, and I would expect improvements from those three drivers. As Patel will get wheeled back in, has been wheeled back into the garage, I should say. Chung is now next to get wheeled back into the garage for Lamborghini, as we have just under 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session to see who will advance into the final part of qualifying. And so far it's been a day to forget for Alfa Romeo, and work to do for them tomorrow from 16th and 20th on the grid, as we wait to see who's going to be next out on the track, as we wait to see who's going to go down pit lane, and we're going to see who's going to be next out on track, as it is going to be a Haas, in fact, of Amelia Wilson. Wilson is going to be out on track first of all in the Haas, and Wilson now then coming out on track and she will now make her way towards Oruge and Radion. So just like what we saw earlier on, she'll be first on track, and she'll look to see if she can try and improve on that 1 minute 43.750. Because we are, of course, we are expecting Perrin and De Rosa and Carr to improve. So I don't think she's that secure in getting her Haas through into Q3. And of course, some of them, of course, as we mentioned earlier, probably getting a little bit held up by that Vaderi crash that we saw earlier on down at turn 14, using a bit of curb on the outside there. Then as she now makes her way towards turn 8 now then of Bruxelles, before she makes her way down towards the infamous turn 9, as now Wilson makes her way down towards Pouon now then through the first part, and then into the second part she will go, as Wilson now then makes her way towards turns 12 and 13. So through the right and then into the left she will go, before she will now make her way towards turns 14 and 15. And now approaching turn 15, which is Stavlo. And now Wilson will be approaching Blanchimont before she'll start her next flying lap. And it's only Fraser that's left to go out on track. Of course, Vaderi's not going out because of the spare car ban. And now all 15 cars are on track, so Wilson should not get held up on this occasion. And she's now approaching the last chicane through the right and then into the left-hander now. Then she will go, and she will now make her way onto the pit straight, and Wilson starts her second flying lap of Q2, I should say. Could it be her last one because of how long the track is? We'll have to wait and see. Wilson comes out of the first corner now then, using curb on the outside, as she makes her way down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. Eau Rouge, then into Radion she will go, as she'll be approaching the end of the first sector quite soon, as she comes down the Camel Straight, making her way towards Lacombe. And let's see what the first sector is going to look like then for Wilson. And she's 27 thousandths up in that first sector. We'll have to see if she can keep that up in the next two, because of course sector 1 you can't really tell too much there, using all the curve on the outside before she makes her way down towards Bruxelles of turn 8, and then the Jackie X corner of turn 9. Down towards turn 9 she will go now then. She flicks her car in through the left-hander, using a bit of curve on the outside, as she makes her way down towards Pouon now then. And let's see how quick she takes it. And they're flat out through there, flat through the second part of Pouon. And she now comes up towards turns 12 and 13, as she flicks the car in for the right and then into the left-hander now. Then she will go, as she will now make her way towards the end of the second sector. Let's see, will she still be up on her personal best in the second sector? Let's see, and she will be, but only by 68 thousandths of a second, and she's nearly a second off of Garber in that middle sector. But let's see if she can keep it up in this last sector. She now comes around Blanchimont now. Then for the first part she goes, and now into the second part will go Amelia Wilson, as she will now approach the final chicane on the racetrack now. Then into the last chicane goes Amelia Wilson in the Haas through the right and then into the left-hander now. Then she will go, and she'll now blast onto the pit straight, and let's see what she is able to do. Wilson, can she improve on the time across the line? And she can, but remains in 10th position, only 74 thousandths up on her personal best in the end. Motrin is currently up on his personal best by 4/10 of a second. Motrin on an improvement. Can he get out of the drop zone? He can. He goes up to 7th, so he pushes Wilson into the drop zone as a result. Chatfield, meanwhile, is not on an improvement. He's currently up in 3rd position, and he stays in 3rd for the time being. De Rosa up on his personal best, and he gets himself up into 8th, pushes Lopez now into the drop zone. Carl up on his personal best, but only gets up into 10th, pushes Chung down to the drop zone as Fraser doesn't improve. Chung is not on an improvement, and she improves in the last sector, but remains in 11th. Lopez across the line and pushes his own teammate back down into the drop zone and goes up into 6th position. Perrin on an improvement, and he goes up into 7th, pushing Willows now down into the drop zone. So the McLaren's not having the pace to what we saw in Q1. Here comes Franco Garber along with his teammate Roke. He's probably getting some slipstream from Garber. Garber does not improve. Roke, meanwhile, no improvement for him, stays in 4th. Byrne across the line, he stays where he is, which is P2. Willows is up on his personal best, so can he push his own teammate down into the drop zone? Let's see. Willows coming down the pit straight, and across the line he goes in the McLaren and gets up into 5th position. So De Rosa now in the drop zone. Galloway on an improvement. Across the line he will go, and he goes up into 4th position. A big improvement there from Jake Galloway. Fraser trying again. In fact, I thought he did finish his lap, but clearly that was somebody else who I didn't pay attention to. But Fraser does not improve, and he stays where he is. I think it might have been Patella got him mixed up with there. I do apologise. I don't know how I've got those two mixed up, but there we are. So anyway... Anyway, this might be it for the qualifying session because look how much time there is left. So if that's the case, Armar Carr has been eliminated in Q2. So we talked about in the news video how he was a little bit angry with the inconsistency with the Mercedes during qualifying. Well, it seems he's going to be he's going to be venting about this one, Ra.
Yep, indeed. And what is surprising is that Roland Motchin has made it into Q. Will be making it into Q3 for the Aston Martin.
Motrin does make it through in the Aston. A good achievement there from the Hungarian driver. Wilson was in the top 10 for most of it, but unfortunately back down to 14th in a position in front of her teammate Daniel Fraser, the only driver, of course, 2 seconds off the pace. It seems in the last few races Fraser's kind of dropped the ball a little bit, so who knows? Has he started to drop back into his 2020 form? Hopefully not in his case. So Wilson gets wheeled back into the garage as that's Q2 officially done with now then. And yes, so De Rosa, Carr, Chung, Wilson and Fraser, all 5 of those drivers out in Q2. And of course, Videri is as well because of the crash he had on his first flying lap. So that's that really. So Garber, Byrne, Chatfield, Galloway, Rote, Willows, Patel, Lopez, Perinen and Motrin, those 10 drivers all making it through into the final part of qualifying as Patel gets wheeled back into the garages. But a disaster for Armar Carr really, Ra, considering that his rival, Franco Garber, is looking particularly strong around here.
Yep, indeed. But but then again, the race is tomorrow. Will he be able to climb up the field? We will see. He might. I mean, knowing Silverstone, he could.
Indeed so, and but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we're just going to wait for the session to reach 0, and then we will go to the main menu screen. So that's that really, as all the drivers are getting wheeled back into the garages. There is Daniel Fraser, who will be starting in 15th position, a position behind his teammate Amelia Wilson. But Haas, a decent job considering they've got both cars through into Q2. I think they'll be pretty satisfied with that. Bit gutting that they didn't make it into Q3 with Amelia Wilson, but it is what it is if they get wheeled back into the garages there. As you wait for the seconds to tick down. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And that is the checker flag. And that is Q2 done with then. So a reminder, Garber top with Byrne second and Chatfield third. And your bottom 6, to remind you, of course, are Kirishima De Rosa, Armar Carr, Laura Chung, Amelia Wilson, Daniel Fraser, and of course Andre Videri, who crashed out on his first flying lap and will start in 16th position. So we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment and then we will come back for Q3. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your predictions on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. And yes, this is a real game. This is Grand Prix 4. I don't know why you would think it's not a real game. A strange question in my opinion, but anyway. But anyway, just give us a moment, guys. As for the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet prepared for Twitter. So apologies if I go a little bit silent. top. But anyway, so whilst we wait for Q3 to get underway, of course, it's safe to say, I think although he showed some very good pace in Q1, I don't think any of us were expecting Motrin to get into Q2, but fair play to him, Ra.
Yep, indeed. And for him getting into Q3, a great achievement for him in the Aston Martin. So, yeah, yeah, pretty good for him.
Indeed. So obviously, we're just waiting for Q3 to get underway, but hopefully it should be a very interesting qualifying session. But so far, every session, Ra, in some capacity, we've had a crash so far. Is that going to be the case in Q3, do you believe, or do you think all 10 cars will keep it clean?
Mm, I don't know. Maybe one of them might make a mistake, but I think they will all survive.
We'll see, of course. It's going to be interesting to see, and of course, the drivers will be pushing very hard around here as well. And let's not forget as well, one of the key tropes with Belgium as well. Usually, if you start on pole, it's kind of a disadvantage because you normally get overtaken into last source. But we talked about it yesterday as well, Ra. On the rare occasion, because Yui has mentioned this a couple of times in the previous few seasons, on rare occasions that common trope with last source sometimes doesn't happen, but it's only on rare occasions, really. So, who knows? Could this season be the season where that rare occasion could happen, or do you think we're looking at the same thing again?
Mm, we could be looking for the same thing again, but then again, we'll have to wait and see.
Anyway, we have got the stream back up on the screen, and we are about to get underway for Q2, and so it's going to be quite interesting. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get into it then, shall we? Let's get on with the final part of qualifying. So I'll have to ask you, Ra, who do you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix?
Hmm. I'm gonna go with uh Franco Lopez.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to stay safe and I'm going to say George Roke's going to get pole position. I think a Red Bull will get pole because so far Red Bull have topped all the sessions so far here in Belgium. Obviously, three different drivers, of course. We had Adventure top it in practice. He was doing his test driver duties, of course, in practice during the wet conditions. Roke top Q1, Garber top Q2. So I do think a Red Bull will top it again, and I think it will be Roke. But then again, I could be wrong, and what I've just said there may get chucked out of the window. But anyway, we are here for Q3 and we are ready to get the session underway with here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps to see who will take pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. The shortest lap distance on the calendar. We talked about it having the longest back on the calendar at 7.004 kilometers. Got the shortest lap distance as well at 44 laps. But anyway, Jake Galloway is going to be the first driver out on track in the Ferrari, and we're looking at, as we saw in the previous session, Rob, potentially only 2 flying laps, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's either the first lap or the second lap that matters. So you gotta try and make him out for either of those laps.
Indeed. Anyway, let's have a look at your predictions, guys, in the stream chat. Dennis has said Franco Gamba will take pole, but George Rote will lead after La Source. Yeah, I see what he did there. Same with Fonchanek. He's gone with the same sort of vibe there and how he's answered it there. He's gone for a Lopez pole, but he believes Gamba will take the lead into La Source there. Chris says that Gamba will take pole. Alfie says Byrne has got pole. Get pole. So that's that then. So they are the predictions that we got in the stream chat. As currently we've only got 7 cars on track, made that 8 now, so it's just 2 more cars left to join the track. As Galloway now makes his way down through Pouan now, using all the curb on the inside as he'll be preparing to start his first flying lap of Q number 3. So far, Chatfield has had the edge on him on all the sessions we've had here at Spa-Francorchamps. Can Galloway turn it up when it matters in this third part of qualifying? We will see. Through into turn 14 he goes, as he will now make his way through into Stavlo now, which is turn 15, and he will now make his way towards Blanchimont now then. Into Blanchimont now, then we'll go Jake Galloway in at the Ferrari, as all 10 cars are now out on the racetrack, so Galloway's not going to get impeded on his first flying lap of Q number 3, as Galloway now then makes his way towards the last chicane, so flicking it in for the right and then into the left-hander now. Then he will go as he will now make his way onto the pit straight now then, and Galloway starts his first flying lap of Q number 3 right now then, as he now makes his way down towards the first corner, which is at the source. So through the right-hander he goes, as he will now flick the car in. Out of the turn he goes, using all the curb on the outside. He now makes his way down the support pit straight before making his way towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. Down towards Eau Rouge now then goes Jake Galloway, and now heading his way through Radion now then, as he now makes his way down the Camel Straight as we now approach Le Com now then. Let's see what the first sector is going to look like then in the Ferrari now then, and his first sector time is going to be a 29.148. Let's see what everybody else is doing now then. Galloway coming out of Le Com now then. A 29.134 for Motrin, so he's up on Galloway. A 29.214 for Garber. Obviously down on both of them, but as we said many times in the previous two, if you've only just joined us on the stream, the first sector is not really that important, as it's only one braking zone, which is La Source. Everywhere else is flat out. It's mainly Sector 2 and Sector 3 that you really need to keep an eye on during these sessions, really. The same happened yesterday during the World Champ Car qualifying session, which saw Gabriel Gomez take pole, which he would later convert into the win. But anyway, Galloway now then, as he makes his way through into turn 14 now then, before approaching Stavlo. He does a 1 minute 12.533 in that middle sector now then. What's Motrin doing in that middle sector? Let's see, in the Aston Martin, a 113.023, so he's now nearly 5 tenths off of Galloway, as Garbers now does a 1 minute 12.439 in the second sector, so he's now up on both Galloway and Motrin in that second sector, as now Galloway makes his way towards the last chicane now then, as Chatfield is only just past the first sector point now, as you can see on the mini-map on your screen. But anyway, Galloway makes his way onto the pit straight now then, in the Ferrari, down the pit straight. What is the benchmarker time going to be? Across the line he will go, and it's a 143.222. Here comes Roland Motrin now then in the Aston Martin. Across the line he will now go in the Aston, and across the line, and he goes into seconds, exactly 6 tenths behind. Garber goes quickest by a tenth of a second at 143.068, as Patel in fact is up on Garber in the second and first sectors. So let's see if Patel can keep this up in the Lamborghini. Patel now then heading down the pit straight, and across the line goes the Indian driver. Will he go to the top? And yes, he will, by 2 tenths of a second. A 1 minute 42.791, as Roke is actually 5 tenths down on him in the middle sector. So Roke's not having a very good lap. Roke across the line he will go, and he goes into 4th position. Lopez across the line he will go in the Mercedes. Where can he place himself? And he goes into 4th, gets in front of Roke there, as Byrne goes into 2nd, a 10th off. Joseph Willows in the McLaren crosses the line, and he goes into 5th. Here comes Jesus Perrin, meanwhile, in the Renault, and he's up on Patel in the middle sector. He was 1,000th down on him in the first sector, but he's now a 10th up on Patel in the middle sector. So here comes Perrin now then, as he rounds the last chicane now then, heading down the pit straight. Goes Jesus Perrin. What can the Spaniard do? Can he go to the top of the timing sheets? Across the line he will go, and yes he can, by a tenth of a second. Perrin to the top. Here comes Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari across the line, and he goes into 9th position. So at the moment it is Perrin at the top with Patel in second. So far the front row consisting of 2 rookie drivers, Ra.
The rookie's pulling everyone. What is this madness? Nice cut off.
Oh, I didn't cut off. I thought you weren't finished there, Ra. You made it a bit confusing for me. But anyway, as now Galloway is heading back into the pits this lap, as Perrin is a 10th clear of Patel, but of course we've still got the second laps to run. Only 4th and 8th for the 2 Red Bull drivers at this stage at the moment. Garber in 4th and Roke in 8th. 1st and 3rd at the moment for the 2 Renault drivers. So, who knows really? Of course, obviously we know Byrne's leaving the team at the end of the season, but of course with all the rumours surrounding Perrin as to him being the contender for both Renault and Red Bull, should Quarg and Anderson boot him out of Renault. Very interesting stuff indeed. So I said, I think in the practice session, imagine the scenes if Perrin also joins Byrne at Red Bull, should Byrne get signed, of course, at Red Bull, that is. Imagine the scenes if that would happen. That would be Renault implosion right there. But anyway, Gal now then gets wheeled back into the garage now then, as we wait to see who is going to go out on. Who's going to be first on track to do the second flying lap of Q3, which could be the last ones, given how long it is to get around the track. I mean, we saw in Q2 that we were only getting 2 flying laps from all the drivers in that session. So That's that then. And as now we wait to see who is going to go out on track first for the second runs of Q3 and potentially the final runs as Patel gets wheeled back into the garage currently on the front row of the grid. Patel really needs to do well here because, of course, you may remember in the news video, if Anderson misses out on the Renault seat, then he's going to have some competition to partner alongside Laura Chung. So it's going to be very, very interesting indeed as we now wait to see. Just give me a moment.
We wait to see who will be the first one out on track for their second runs and potentially the final runs.
As we're still waiting in the garage, as you can see, as everybody's still got the pit symbol next to their names, with just under 7.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix as the Ferrari of Jake Galloway gets out onto the racetrack. Potentially his final flying lap, but I think judging from what we saw in Q2, I think this will be the final flying laps, but we will wait and see, of course, as Galloway now then makes his way through into Eau Rouge and Radion now then, making his way down the Camel Straight to start to prepare himself for his final flying lap, currently in 5th position as he'll be looking to see if he can get a little bit higher in the Ferrari. Also on track is Roland Motrin in the Aston Martin, and also on track is George Roke in the Red Bull. He's not wasting any time as he looks to try and improve on that 8th position at this stage, as Galloway now then makes his way down towards Bruxelles now then. Turn 8 he will go as he makes his way through the long swooping right hand as he now makes his way down towards the Jackie X corner, using a bit of curb on the outside before making his way down towards Pouon. As now it's just 3 cars that are still in the garage, made that 2, which is just Perrinen and Chatfield at this stage. They were in fact the last 2 to cross the line on the previous run. As Galloway trying to get around on track, trying to ensure that he doesn't make any mistakes whatsoever. And of course, the Alfa Romeo is in this session. If you have missed it, of course, both of them in the walls. In Q1, of course, Quad crashed in the pit lane, bringing an end to his session because his car got stuck in the garage in similar fashion to what we saw with Franco Lopez last season at the Austrian Grand Prix. And then in Q2, of course, Andre Videri crashed out at turn 14, bringing an end to his session and setting no time in the process. But anyway, Galloway now in round the last chicane, he will go as he makes his way around the final corner and onto the pit straight to start his second and potentially final flying lap, as all 10 cars are now out on track, so Galloway is not going to get any traffic whatsoever. Galloway through into La Source he goes before making his way down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. And it'll be very interesting to see what his pace is like in the first sector compared to Jesus Perrinen, the man, of course, who replaced Galloway at Renault. So Galloway now then making his way down the Camel Straight, and let's see what his first sector is going to look like in the Ferrari. Galloway approaching the first sector right now then. Let's see what his first sector looks like. And he is 48 thousandths down on his personal best and 1/10 down on Perrinen. But of course, we can't judge too much on the first sector because that's not where your time comes from. It's mainly from sector 2 and 3. We see those... we see some differences. So we'll see if Galloway is able to go up on his personal best in the middle sector or not, as he now rounds the Jackie X corner now then, using all the curb on the outside before making his way down the hill towards Pouon. As he now makes his way through the left-hander now then, and now making his way towards turns 12 and 13. A quick section of corners around here on this circuit, through the right and then into the left-hander now then he goes before making his way towards turns 14 and 15 now then. Into turn 14 he goes, and now up towards turn 15, and he is up on his personal best by nearly 2/10 of a second, but he's still 2/10 down on Perrinen in the second sector. So at the moment Galloway is on an improvement, but I think he'll only get up to 4th if you can keep this up. Anyway, Galloway out of the second part of Blanchimont now then he will go. Round the corner he goes before making his way towards the chicane now then. Towards the chicane now then goes Jake Galloway in the Ferrari through the right and then into the left-hander now then we go. As I said, Galloway makes his way onto the pit straight now then. Where can he place his Ferrari? Across the line goes Jake Galloway, and he goes up into 4th. So I predicted that one correctly. Motrin, meanwhile, is not up on his personal best. He's currently in 10th position. Motrin, across the line he will go, and he stays in 10th position. Roke, meanwhile, is up on his personal best. What can he do? He's 4 tenths down on Perinin, though, but he is up on his personal best by nearly 2 tenths of a second. Roke across the line, and he goes into 6th position. The Devil's phone number behind Jesus Perinin. So anyway, as Rahul Patel now then rounds the last chicane, as he's currently down on his personal best in the middle sector. Here comes Patel across the line, and he does not improve. He stays in 2nd place. Garber is up on his personal best, but he's not up on Perinin. He's 2 tenths down on Perinin in the 2nd sector across the line, and he goes up into 5th position. So the Red Bulls on row 3. Lopez, no improvement. He stays in 8th. Byrne across the line, and he goes fastest by 2 tenths of a second. Byrne to the top of the time machine. Well, 1 minute 42.376 as Willow's not able to improve. Perinin was up on his personal best, but he's only 55 thousandths down on Byrne. In fact, he gained a bit on him in the 2nd sector. So this is not over. This is very tight between the 2 Renault drivers. Can Perinin find some time in the last sector to get the pole position back? Perinin across the line, and he can't do it. He stays in 2nd place, but Chatfield does. Chatfield to the top of the timing sheet with a 1 minute 42.184 from out of nowhere. Chatfield goes to the top, and now we're looking at a 2nd ever pole position for the Ferrari driver.
Well, it looks like it, looking at how much we have left. And Chris Chatwood has somehow snatched it at the end.
As he now makes his way down the Camel Straight, we look to see, we're just waiting for the official clarification once it gets to the time, but I think Chatfield has done enough to take his 2nd ever pole position in the top class. Of course, he took pole position at the Spanish Grand Prix, let's not forget, but of course, if tradition is anything to go by, Burns should take the lead into the first corner, but it would be about the run down towards Lecombe that will be very important to see if Chatfield can get it back or not. Or who knows, really? Maybe Burn will bog down at the start and Chatfield can keep the lead into the first corner. That'll be interesting as he now makes his way down through Pouon now then in the Ferrari as he now makes his way towards turns 12 and 13 on the racetrack through the right and then into the left-hander now then we will go. As he now makes his way through turn 14 and then into turn 15, he will go. And there you have it then. So Chris Chatfield is on pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. A brilliant final lap effort there from the Ferrari driver. And for the 2nd time this season, he is on pole position. So that's that really. So pole position going the way to Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari, but 2 and 3 for the Renaults. He's going to have some tough competition behind him, but Chatfield on pole for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix, and once the timer reaches 0, we will then have a look at how he got that pole position. So Chatfield now in the pits, and so Chatfield now then in the pit lane now then as we wait for the checkered flag to officially come out, and then we will show you how Chatfield got pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. But wow, right at the end there,
Yep, indeed. We've had this before, and we're having it again.
Yeah, indeed. As Chatfield gets wheeled back into the garage as 30 seconds tick by. We wait for the check flag to come out, of course, for anybody who's just joined us, and then we will look at the pole lap set by Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. His 2nd ever pole position in the top class. And, well, he's had quite a lot of bad luck this season, has Chris Chatfield. But will he finally get some good luck tomorrow at Spa-Francorchamps? That is going to be the big question. As we've got 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And the checkered flag is out. That's the end of the session. So now we're going to take a look at how Chris Chatfield took his 2nd ever pole position. So enjoy it.
Great lap. Only sector you're not fastest in at the moment is the last sector by a couple of hundredths. We can't afford to slow down too much.
And that is how Chris Chatfield took pole position for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. From out of nowhere, he takes his second ever pole position. But the question is, can he finally get some good luck tomorrow and potentially get his first ever win in the top class? That will be quite interesting because he has had quite a lot of bad luck this season. But well done to Chris Chatfield indeed. But there you have it then. Here is the top 10 then for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. Chris Chatfield on pole with Evan Byrne in second. Jesus Perinen will start in third with Rahul Patel in fourth. Jake Galloway in fifth with Franco Gama, the championship leader, in sixth. George Roke in seventh with Joseph Willows eighth. Franco Lopez in ninth. And Roland Motran completes the top 10 in the Aston Martin. So what do you think of that session overall, Ra?
A really hectic session. I really expected the Red Bulls and even Franco Lopez and also even Joseph Willis to challenge for pole with the Renaults, but no, they couldn't find the time and they had poor laps and somehow Chatfield got pole, taking it away from the Renaults. Patel somehow in P4, Galloway in P5, the Red Bulls 6th and 7th, Willows 8th, and Lopez done in 9th.
Indeed, and it'll be interesting to see how it is in the race. Well, there you have it then. That has been it for the qualifying session here at Spa-Francorchamps. I hope you have enjoyed it. It should hopefully be an exciting race tomorrow and, well, a very exciting session indeed. But, of course, we're not done with live streams just yet because in 53 minutes' time, we, of course, have the Formula 2 race here at Spa-Francorchamps. So it should be an interesting race there indeed. Of course, tomorrow, have the entrance series as well, the penultimate entrance series meeting of the season, where Juha Soppanen has a slim chance of winning the title tomorrow. But if I'm being totally honest, it'll probably more likely go down to the wire. But we will see. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. We will see you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 44-lap Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, we, of course, don't do the commentary for that because we allow George to do that for the highlights. But until then, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm in JW97. He's been Ra, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 44-lap Belgian Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Goodbye.